Hello everyone, you are very welcome back to another video. My name is Amy, I'm a musician, I play guitar and I sing, and I make videos that consist mostly of cover songs, guitar content, vlogs, and I really enjoy talking about music things, and every now and then I like to make videos relating to something about Ireland. Today's video, we are going to be talking about 5 haunted locations in Ireland. I got this idea from a viewer of mine, so thank you so much for the idea. She suggested that I should talk about haunted places in Ireland, and I thought, right now, it's Halloween, so this would be the perfect time for this video. Now, obviously, there are more than 5 supposed haunted locations in Ireland, but I have been doing some reading online and I have narrowed it down to 5 places that I would like to tell you about. Before we get into anything though, I just want to give a couple of quick disclaimers. First of all, I am advising you to watch this video at your discretion, since this isn't typical of the type of content I make. Some of the stories I'm going to be telling you contain descriptions of violence and murder and do have some sinister elements to them, so just giving you a heads up right now, nothing that I'm condoning, of course, I'm just telling you these stories, but just in case this isn't for you and you would prefer to skip this one, that's completely fine. I just want to let you know now. Second disclaimer is that this video is not about whether or not these places are actually haunted. Everybody watching this video is gonna have their own views and their own beliefs about this kind of thing. And I'm not here to debate whether who's right and who's wrong. I'm certainly not gonna give my opinion either. I respect everybody's differing beliefs with this kind of thing. What I want this video to be is us sitting around a bonfire. We've got snacks, it's Halloween night, and we are telling each other spooky stories, trying to scare each other. That's what I want this video to be. It's just a bit of fun on Halloween, and I know that I don't have any control over the comments section, but I would just like to encourage kindness and respect to one another. I think that that's more important than whether or not these ghosts are real. So please keep that in mind, please be respectful in the comments, and let's have a bit of fun on Halloween. And a quick reminder just to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This is the first video that I'm filming since I hit 10,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. It's still very surreal to me to see that number under my channel name, and I am so unbelievably grateful to everyone who has subscribed and gotten me this far. While this list of 5 is in no particular order, I do actually start off with the first 2 just being creepy, and then the last 3 stories contain more sinister elements. So again, I just want to give a heads up to anybody who might be more sensitive to that kind of thing, since I don't normally talk about this kind of stuff in my videos, so I just don't want to catch anyone off guard. Okay, let's throw another log on the fire, pass me another s'more. Who's ready to get spooked? Number 1, Mor Hall in County Mayo. This place is near and dear to my heart because it's located in my home county, Mayo. And this is the only place on this list that I have actually been to in person. Not only have I been here, but I have vlogged here in the past. So this is very exciting for this video because I can actually include footage that I've taken.
Supposedly it is haunted.
Supposedly it is haunted, that's the other thing.
But I've been down here a few times.
Shall we go see if we'll find any ghosts?
Oh yeah.
I will link the vlog in the description. Check it out after this if you would like to. It's a vlog that I posted on my channel back in 2021. So as well as reading things online, I've actually grown up with hearing the local stories about this place, since it's only about 30 minutes drive from where I grew up. Mor Hall is located in South County Mayo, close to the shores of Lough Carra. The house was built by George Moore, completed in 1795, and the house was lived in and the surrounding land owned by the Moore family until 1933. I won't get into the deep history about Mor Hall in this video, but in a nutshell, the Moore family, George Moore and his descendants, were heavily involved in Ireland's political climate across their generations. The most well-known part of the history of Mor Hall, known to us locals, is the fire that destroyed the interior of the house in 1923. In 1923, Mor Hall was set on fire by the anti-treaty forces during the Irish Civil War due to the family's perceived pro-treaty views. I've visited Mor Hall many times. I know what it looks like. The structure of the house is still very much there, but the interior is completely burnt out and is being reclaimed by nature. Like I said, a very deep history to the house that I don't have time to get into today, but what we want to talk about is what makes Mor Hall haunted. Well, first of all, look at it. Some believe that the land surrounding Mor Hall is actually cursed land, and due to the Moors building the house where they did, caused a lot of bad luck, with many of the family members falling victim to illness or being killed. Many people who have visited Mor Hall have reported unsettling and strange experiences, such as feelings of cold spots, sightings of shadowy figures moving through the ruins, sightings of certain ghostly figures wandering the ruins, the grounds, and even the nearby crypt where John Moore is buried. I've got the shivers. Many have reported unexplained noises as children laughing, whispers, and footsteps. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. One part of the house that I find very creepy in particular is this tunnel that leads to the back of the house. I mean, I don't need to explain why this is creepy. This area is usually pretty mucky, so it can be hard to walk through. There was one occasion that I visited with my brother, and we both decided that we would take a walk into the tunnel together. Now, I've never personally felt any supernatural presence here. That's just me, that's my experience. But when I walked into that tunnel, I got this overwhelming sense that I should turn around and not walk all the way through to the other side. Maybe I just got a little bit scared, or just a little bit of anxiety I was feeling in the moment, but yeah, I just couldn't get rid of this feeling that we shouldn't be there. I didn't spend a lot of time in that tunnel. I listened to that feeling that told me to leave, and I did. You do have to walk through some woods to get to the house from the car park. It's actually a beautiful place to walk, I think. I don't personally get the creeps myself on the path up to the house. I actually think it's really beautiful and peaceful, but many have reported feeling watched as they walk through the trees or hearing voices calling to them. Nope.
So I'm at the back of the house. You can see it there behind me. Just having a walk around the woods, having a look around. Nice to be back. You can see why, if one did believe in ghosts, this is the place for them. And there's a drone flying over me. Someone else is filming too. So apparently, you can hear the sound of children laughing as the sign of a ghost, or that tunnel that I also showed you. Apparently you can hear the sound of horses running, the sound of horses' hooves as well. So children laughing, horses' hooves. Yeah, I've been here a few times, I've never heard anything, but people have, so don't know.
Last I heard, Mor Hall is actually being restored, although I've looked online and I can't find anything to do with the progress of the project, so I don't know, next time I'm home, I might just have to go take a look for myself. Number 2, Glasnean Cemetery in County Dublin. Since I have a lot of houses and castles on this list, I wanted to include a bit of variety, and let's throw in a cemetery, why not? Glasnean Cemetery in North Dublin is the largest cemetery in Ireland, with over 1.5 million people buried there, including many notable people in Irish history, such as Daniel O'Connell, who was the founder of Glasnean Cemetery, Michael Collins, Charles Stewart Parnell, and Eamon de Valera. It was established in 1832, and it sits on a whopping 124 acres of land. I think the reason why it's so big is because Glasnean Cemetery today is actually a non-denominational cemetery. This is something that was important to the founder, Daniel O'Connell, a very prominent figure in Irish history, by the way. If you've ever been to Dublin and you've walked down O'Connell Street, it's named after him. Daniel O'Connell lived in a time in Ireland where there were very strict laws for Catholics. Most of us are aware of the very tense history in Ireland between the Catholics and the Protestants, which I won't be getting into in this video, by the way, or probably any video. While he did want there to be a place for anyone, regardless of what faith they practiced or if any, that people would have a place to bury their dead in a dignified manner. O'Connell founded the cemetery in the first place as a Catholic cemetery to provide a dignified burial place for Catholics during a time when Catholics faced tight restrictions on public worship. So over time, the non-denominational aspect of the cemetery became more prominent. So with a graveyard this big, with over 1 million bodies, you can bet that there have been some reports of some eerie things happening. Maybe just a few. There have been many reports of shadowy figures moving among the graves, often disappearing as quickly as they appear, likely the spirits of the people buried in the cemetery still lingering. There have also been reports of the ghost of a dog, the tail, no pun intended, of a loyal Newfoundland who stayed by his owner's graveside long after his passing. The dog remained loyal to his human, refusing to leave the graveside and eventually passing away. We just don't deserve dogs. Dogs are the best. We don't deserve them. As well as graves, Glasnean also contains many mausoleums and crypts. You know, because it wasn't creepy enough already. There are paths you can walk with rooms on either side, often containing entire families buried together. Many visitors have reported feeling cold drafts as they walk through or seeing movements inside. What? Inside? Some say that they've seen figures standing in the entranceways to the crypts, only to disappear as they got closer. What? Oh my God, that's terrifying. Even as much as hearing scratching sounds coming from inside. No, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's too scary. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next place. Number 3, Lonach Castle in County Clare. Okay, now we're gonna start getting into some darker stories. So if you're ready for a creepy, spooky Halloween, keep watching. I have to admit, I'm also not 100% on how to pronounce the name of this castle. Just to be safe, I'm gonna call it by its name in Irish, which is Lonach. Lonach? I'm not sure how to say it, but I think it's a safe bet if I just say it in Irish, you know, especially for the people who watch these videos and love to nitpick and criticize anything I say wrong. I'm sure if I were to pronounce an Irish place name wrong that you'd probably rinse me in the comments for that. So I feel like if I say it in Irish, I'm just covering myself, so in your face. Lonach actually translates to English as the horse's leap. I think it's kind of a folklore, old type of translation because the actual Irish word for horse is couple, so I'm not sure. Lonach, I'm not really sure where that comes from. But funnily enough, the horse's leap is actually going to make sense in a minute, so just keep that in mind and keep watching. Lonach Castle is an ancient ruin dating back to the 15th century, located in the Clare countryside near the village of Corrafin. Not unlike Mor Hall, the castle has a deep history very much tied to the political climate at the time, with the very prominent and powerful O'Brien clan owning the castle and the surrounding land. The castle was very much a symbol of their influence at the time. What makes Lonach Castle haunted though? The supposed haunting in this case is tied to one person in particular, which we've not had in the video so far. Mary McMahon. She was the wife of Conor O'Brien. I feel like I know these people. These are people that I probably know with these names. These names are still so common nowadays, so I kind of weirdly feel like I'm talking about people I know. She was also known as Moira Rua McMahon, in other words, Red Mary.
Red Ross!
She was so aptly named due to her fiery red hair and fiery personality. Now, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but apparently this was crazy. A lot of stories about Red Mary are passed down through the generations, so honestly, the lines between what's fact and what's fiction are very blurred when it comes to stories about her. So please bear that in mind. I just want to emphasize this for this particular story. Like, there's a lot of exaggeration around her life. But part of the folklore is that she was married a whopping 25 times. Now, this is likely an exaggeration since I think according to history, she was married 3 times. So that's more acceptable, I think. Now, given the times, I'm sure not every marriage was for love. Who knows? But it's very likely that these marriages were for power and status and money, just given the times. It's probably not true, but even still, I can't imagine being married 25 times. 25 different husbands. I mean, that puts my body count to shame, just telling you right now. I use the term body count, though. Several of Mary's husbands or lovers, I don't know, were murdered by her. Allegedly. And I say allegedly so that she doesn't sue me. Red Mary was known to people at the time as an extremely cunning and cruel person. Again, some exaggerations here that some claim that she wasn't actually as cruel as some of the stories made her out to be. So again, it's largely up to folklore. But according to some stories, her treatment of the people around her was awful. There are stories that say if she was even mildly displeased about the people around her, whether it was her husbands, servants, even tenants on the land, she would just, throw them out the castle window. As you do. There are also stories of her hanging her servants. Again, if they did something that she barely didn't like, I don't know, maybe they put a little bit too much milk in her tea. She would apparently hang men by their necks and hang women by their hair. Even some stories have said that she went as far as to cut off their breasts. That one, I kind of felt that one. But what the actual According to legend as well, she had a horse in her stable that she would challenge visitors to ride this horse. Why anyone would want to visit her, I don't know. If there was even a chance that you would leave there with your neck snapped in two and an A cup. No shame to anybody with an A cup. It's a joke. It was a joke. But she would challenge visitors to ride this horse, and once the horse was free from the stable, it would run wild towards the cliffs of Moher and then suddenly stop so that the poor rider, would be just thrown over the cliffs. That's one of the many stories. Again, I can't say if that actually happened. It's probably just a legend. But where we mentioned the horse's leap earlier, that's where that comes from. Lonach, the horse's leap. There are also a few variations to that story, the horse's leap as well. There's another story that tells that it's actually Mary who leapt from a horse while she was being chased by English soldiers, and she leapt from the horse to escape. So that's another variation of the story, but again, it's folklore. There's no historical basis for that actually happening. I know this is kind of a long story, apologies, I'm gonna get to it. But Conor O'Brien, who was Red Mary's second husband, 2 of 25, maybe? Definitely 2 of 3, anyway. And they lived together in Lonach Castle. One day, Conor is brought home after being wounded severely. He was very outspoken about being anti-Cromwell at the time, so that put a target on his back. As poor Conor was being carried up to the castle, and Mary, being the loving, tender wife that she is, allegedly yells from the top of the tower as he's being carried home, "What do I want with dead men here?" Very sympathetic to her poor husband's injuries. So I think this paints a picture of what Red Mary was supposedly like when she was alive. Again, a lot of it's exaggeration, so we don't really know for sure. There are stories that refute this, and there are many stories that say, no, she really was this bad. So who knows? So we're not sure how many times she was married. We're not sure if she really was that cruel, and the tales of her throwing people out of the windows are just exaggerated. The horse's leap story, again, folklore. But it's an interesting story either way. But the spirit of Red Mary supposedly haunts Lonach Castle to this day, with reports of people seeing a wandering red-haired ghostly figure. Many have claimed to feel a strong and oppressive presence at the castle. And the spirit has been described as angry and vengeful, which if the stories are true, it kind of fits the profile, doesn't it? Some believe that she was so evil and so bad that her soul was cursed to remain trapped at Lonach Castle. Also, this is the only place on this list that is actually on privately owned land, so you cannot just go up and walk around Lonach Castle. If you do happen to visit there ever, please do not trespass on this family's property without permission. Number 4, Lofas Hall in County Wexford. Lofas Hall is known to be one of, if not the most haunted place in the country. It is a stately home located in the very south of Wexford in Feathered-on-Sea. I've actually never heard of that, so if I'm saying it wrong, I'm so sorry. I've never heard it being said before. I hope I'm saying it correctly, Feathered-on-Sea, but if I'm saying it wrong, I'm so sorry. A beautiful country mansion with a whopping 22 bedrooms. It was known then as Redmond Hall, built by the Redmond family in the 14th century. The haunting of Lofas Hall begins with the events that occurred around the middle of the 1700s. So we're talking about 1765, 1775, around that kind of time, with a story that includes the devil himself. Again, much of this story is considered folklore rather than historical fact, but there are many who believe this story to be true. The Tottenham family were the residents at the time: Charles, who was the lord of the manor, his wife Jane, and 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Anne. Charles is remarried to Jane, so Jane is not the mother of the 2 girls. Just the family structure is not that important to the story, but just super quick. Charles was married to Anne. Anne was Anne Loftus, so hence Lofas Hall. So Charles married Anne, and then they had Elizabeth and Anne, the daughter, and then Anne Loftus passes away. Charles marries Jane, so she's like the stepmother to the girls. Again, sorry if you're confused. None of that's important to the story. The only person that's important to this particular story is the youngest of the 2 girls, so young Anne or Lady Anne. One dark stormy night, a mysterious ship sails into Hook Peninsula. A lone stranger disembarks and he heads to the nearby Lofas Hall to seek shelter from the raging storm. He knocks on the door of the mansion and is welcomed inside by the Tottenham family. He is a tall, dark and handsome stranger with a captivating personality. The family are under his charm, delighted by his company, and invite him to stay for some time. This was kind of normal back then. Like, obviously people don't do this anymore, but it would be common, as I've heard from stories, that, you know, if people who were traveling on foot and the weather got really bad, that you could just knock on somebody's door and ask for shelter, ask to just maybe get some food and have a sleep and wait for the rain to pass and then continue on your journey. That was, I believe that was more acceptable back then. Obviously that's not, we don't do that anymore because people are crazy. Anyways, back to the story. He becomes close with the family, in particular with the youngest daughter, Lady Anne. She is supposedly infatuated with this handsome and charming stranger, and they would spend evenings having hot and saucy conversation. So get your minds out of the gutter. They just talked. One night, the family were all together playing cards. At one point during the game, Lady Anne bends down to pick up a card that she dropped on the floor, and as she's doing so, catches a glimpse of the stranger's feet and is horrified to see that it's not a pair of human feet she's looking at, but cloven hooves. She screams, horrified at what she's just seen, and the man who's now had his identity exposed as the devil bursts into a ball of flame, shoots up through the ceiling, disappearing forever, burning a hole into the ceiling that is still there to this day. Yeah, the hole is still there. I've never seen it myself personally, but apparently it's still there, and if you ever go to Lofas Hall to visit, I think it's often shown as part of the tour. Anne was never the same after this night, and again, I've read different stories about this, so I'm not sure which is true and which is folklore, but she became very withdrawn and reclusive after the events of this night. Some say she just withdrew quietly and was not herself and was very, meek. And other stories say that she became manic and violent and dangerous to be around. I'm not sure which is true. Maybe it's a bit of both. Whether she locked herself away herself or her family locked her away due to them being embarrassed and or frightened at what happened. Either way, Lady Anne was confined to a room for 10 years. So 10 years after this happened, she spent by herself in a room where she eventually passed away. Again, no basis of truth in this, but it's very possible that the room she was kept in was the very room that she sat for those evenings and had conversations with the devil. It is said that her restless spirit still haunts the house to this day. People who have visited Lofas Hall have reported sightings of a ghostly young woman thought to be Anne, wandering the halls, sitting at windows, staring out towards the sea. There have also been other experiences reported of people feeling oppressive energies, doors slamming, voices, and objects moving on their own. Aside from the Lady Anne legend, Lofas Hall has a long history of death and tragedy, making it one of the most haunted places in the country. And look, I don't know, I'm not gonna say whether I believe that this happened or not. I'm extremely sad for Lady Anne. I know the story is legend, but it's so unfortunate that she lived in a time when there weren't conversations about mental health and resources about mental health that we have today. Whatever happened to her that night, whatever happened to her, clearly she needed help. And locking her away to spend 10 years by herself, where she eventually died, even just being alone for that length of time, I'm sure only worsened whatever was going on in her brain. And then for her to pass away alone is just, I don't know, I just find that so incredibly heartbreaking. I don't know what happened, but I truly, truly hope that her soul is resting in peace. And finally, number 5, Leap Castle in County Offaly. For anyone familiar, I'm sure you are not surprised to see that Leap Castle is the final location on this list. This is probably the most notorious haunted place in Ireland, and some would argue that it's one of the most haunted places in the entire world. Leap Castle has a very deep, dark, and bloody history, and is supposedly home, or visited, or whatever, haunted by many entities, if that's a word to use. I'm glad this is the last one on the list, honestly, because I'm creeped out at this point. This stuff is very dark. Like, the stories about Leap Castle they're dark. Like, I'm gonna need to decompress. I've been creeped out many nights putting this script together, and I've needed time to like decompress and reset my brain and think of happy things. The exact date of when Leap Castle was built is unknown, but it was sometime between the 13th and the 15th centuries. The exact time is debated. During the 16th century, the O'Carroll clan lived in Leap Castle, and they were infamous at the time for clan rivalries and brutal fighting. One story that's believed to be one of the reasons for Leap Castle being haunted is the murder that happened in the chapel, now known as the Bloody Chapel. Yeah, mate, don't go in that bloody chapel. No, seriously, Bloody Chapel, that's what it's known as. According to legend, a dispute broke out between two of the O'Carroll brothers, with one brother murdering the other brother. From what I've read, the O'Carroll clan were just infamous for fighting with each other and killing each other, like just terrible. The murdered brother was a priest and was in the middle of performing mass for the family when the other brother burst in and violently stabbed him, killing him in front of the entire family. Such a violent and tragic act caused the spirit of the murdered priest to haunt the Bloody Chapel to this day. There have been reports of a shadowy figure seen inside, accompanied by a chill in the room and sounds of chanting and or prayers. That's creepy. That's creepy. Another story that many believe to have contributed to the hauntings of Leap Castle, we need to fast forward to the early 1900s when the Darby family are the owners. Mildred Darby dabbled in some things related to the occult. See, that's not a good idea. Don't do that. which she and many believed resulted in Leap Castle becoming haunted by some sinister supernatural entities. I told you this was creepy. I told you this was gonna get dark. I warned you, so you can't be mad at me at this point. I warned you at the start of the video. If you don't like this stuff, don't get mad at me now. Mildred was a writer with an interest in the paranormal, so she documented many of her experiences, including feeling an invisible hand on her shoulder and tug on her clothes on one occasion. Of everything we've talked about so far in this video, the thing that I'm about to now talk about is by far what I think the scariest, creepiest part of any creepy story that I've heard, especially in this video. It's by far the scariest thing I'm about to mention in this video, but this has given me the creeps putting this video together and reading these stories, just ugh. And that is a being or an entity that famously haunts Leap Castle, known as the Elemental. No, not that elemental. Now, the origins of the Elemental are unknown, but it's been described as a mysterious and malevolent entity. It is said to invoke intense feelings of dread by anyone in its presence, and it's accompanied by a foul smell of decay. Mildred wrote that the entity had a gaunt and shadowy face, and that there were black holes where its eyes should be. She felt an overwhelming sense of dread and horror, and a heavy, sickening atmosphere whenever it appeared. I think that's the worst part, honestly. Imagining what it looks like accompanied with the feelings and the smell it's giving off. I feel a bit sick. I feel a bit sick, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if there isn't a horror movie about the Elemental, there should be. As if that wasn't bad enough. We're not done with Leap Castle yet. Oh no, there's more. There are also reports of a spirit called the Red Lady, who was supposedly a woman captured by the O'Carroll clan, and according to the story, they did some awful things to her. I don't personally want to go into detail about what they did to her. Just, it's not nice. It's truly awful. Don't feel like discussing it, but very bad things. They did very bad things to her. So she supposedly haunts Leap Castle as well. She has been described as a tall figure dressed in a flowing red gown and carrying a dagger. That's my impression of her. Her face contorted in sorrow and or rage, with her dagger raised as if she's ready to stab someone. Renovations began in Leap Castle in the early 20th century, and during this time, the workers uncovered what's called an oubliette. Again, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I've never heard that word before. Oubliette. Oubliette. Sounds French. Oubliette. Oubliette. I don't know. Anyway, basically a small pit resembling a dungeon was discovered underneath the bloody chapel. As if it wasn't bad enough already. Upon the discovery of the tiny room, they found countless human skeletons, prisoners and enemies that were thrown down there and left to die. The sheer amount of remains that were found and the terrible way that these people lost their lives are thought to add to the negative energy surrounding Leap Castle. Definitely adds to the haunted legacy and the ghostly reputation. Thanks for watching, sweet dreams! Nah, just kidding. I hope you did enjoy the spooky stories, and 5 of what I thought were really interesting stories about haunted places in Ireland. Of course there's more, there's many more. I just kind of, based on the ones I was reading, I picked out the ones I thought you might find the most interesting. I hope I didn't freak anybody out too much. I'm a little freaked out, I'm not gonna lie. But I think if you watch this video to this point, you're probably like into this kind of stuff. So you're probably like, yay, I enjoyed that. I hope you are anyway. Again, I just want to emphasize that a lot of these are folklore, and I'm not sitting here telling you that these things happened or these things did not happen. There's probably lots of different stories passed down through the generations. There's not a lot of historical basis for a lot of it. Just stories, which is part of Ireland and part of a lot of places. But, you know, I think Ireland is well known for its stories and its legends and its passing down through the generations. And I think it's interesting regardless. People are going to believe different things and that's fine. But at least for me, I hope that any human being who lost their life in any of these stories or any human being who suffered, I really hope that they are now at peace. But I hope you enjoyed the spookiness of the stories and happy Halloween! I hope this added to your Halloween season. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. I really do appreciate it. If you are still spooked and you don't want to be spooked anymore, check out my recent video that I posted with my husband Ashton. Click up here to watch it. I'll link it down below as well. It's a very happy story, the kind of the opposite of this video. It's just us talking about, you know, how we met and how we survived as a long distance couple, and yeah, it's a happy love story. So if you want to watch something more lighthearted, go check that out. Hopefully I'll get a few laughs, hopefully it'll cheer you up if you need cheering up. And we also will be doing a part 2 very soon. So if you have any questions or anything like that you'd like us to answer, head over to the video and leave it in the comments under that video. Leave a like down below if you did enjoy this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. It's just amazing and I'm so grateful. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I post something new, whether it's a video like this or a cover song or a guitar short or my live streams every week. I've also been trying some vertical streams as well lately and they seem to be doing quite well. A lot of people that I don't know tend to watch them, so make sure the bell is on so that you don't miss it when I go live. Also click the card here right now to check out a recent cover song that I did. I did a cover of Ooh Las Vegas by Graham Parsons featuring Emmylou Harris. It sounds like this. Crystal City, you know you're gonna make a wreck out of me. I worked really hard on it and I'm very proud of it. I partially filmed it in Vegas earlier this year, so yeah, I'm proud of it. Got the Bellagio fountains in the background, and yeah, I put a lot of work in. I also vlogged that trip while I was there to film that video, and we did some other stuff that was fun. That vlog will be coming soon. I just honestly, it's been so busy lately that I just haven't got to it yet, but it's on my to-do list, so just keep an eye out for that too. That'll be coming soon, and you'll get to see some of the behind the scenes of me filming that video. There are also some links in the description if you would like to support me further. I have a Patreon, I have a YouTube membership community, and I have a merch store full of music and Irish inspired designs. If you do decide to join the Patreon community or the YouTube membership, you will get access to a monthly private live stream that we do around the end of every month. You get your name in the credits of the videos as well as a thank you, and you get access to behind the scenes vlogs and content as well. Anyone on the silver and above tiers also get to watch videos like this early. So if you'd like to join, support in any way, buy merch, that is all linked in the description below. Also linked below, I have my gaming channel, which I just do for fun. It's called Pokera. I post let's plays of games that I loved when I was younger, so it's kind of a bit of a nostalgia trip for me. I post over there twice a week. Thank you so much again for watching this video all the way through. I really do appreciate it a lot. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you very soon again in the next video. I feel creeped out now. I do, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go make some tea and cuddle my dog and watch something nice, like Home Improvement or something. I need to think of nice, happy, and fluffy things. Okay, bye!